The fine marks the second sanction for Trump for comments about witnesses since the start of the trial last month. He was fined $9,000 last week for 9 violations. Joining me now is Tre Lovell, an entertainment and corporate attorney. Tre, thank you as always for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Trump has been found in contempt again. He has been threatened with jail time. Could we see a former president and possible future president go to jail?
Very unlikely. That would create a whole different dynamic to this trial if they did incarcerate him. You know, Judge Mastrano is doing what he needs to do. He needs to throw that over his head to make sure that is something that could happen, because he really needs to get control of the out-of-court statements that Trump is making. But for him to actually do that would be chaos, and would just have a last result with nothing else worked. And we're far from that. But he does need to threaten it, because he does need to get a containment on these out-of-court statements.
Now, is there a danger the judge has painted himself into a corner? Because we all know that the former president doesn't exactly listen well to authority.
You know, I don't think so. I think that you know, if he never threatened it, he wouldn't be able to do it, because you need to give, you know, Trump, you know, enough notice in advance that he's thinking about that. So he definitely needed to bring it up. But I don't think it's, you know, it's crying wolf on it. You know, he needs to make sure that, hey, you know, you need to stop these statements. I don't want to do it, but if I have to, you know, I will incarcerate you. And it's not going to be my fault. It'll be yours, because it's the last resort. So please stop doing this. And I think it'll probably have a result, even though Trump is pretty indignant. He may back off a little bit, because, you know, he certainly wouldn't want to push too far.
Who would win politically? Would there be would that be a win for Trump if he ended up in jail, even just for over lunchtime? I know one of the things proposed was that he may just have to spend time in jail at the court itself over lunch. Would that win political points for him?
Yes, absolutely. Right now, this is already deemed by many to be a political trial. If they incarcerate him, it'll make him a martyr. And it'll create a great sympathy for him, even more than he's already you know, achieved because of all these prosecutions. And that's another thing the judge has to think about. You know, he wants to run a tight legal schedule, legal trial, but there's a political dynamic to this, and whatever he does is going to affect that political dynamic. So yeah, if he were to do that, it would create much more sympathy, and take this politically to a whole new level.
And of course, there actually is a trial going on right now. We kind of forget about that. And they're into the minutia. McConney is testifying. Your thoughts on what's been unfolding there?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, as we know, this is, you know, a records documents case. So whenever you have that type of case, you always have to lay a foundation for documents that are coming in. A lot of times it's these record-keeping witnesses that need to you know, that have the personal knowledge and need to lay the foundation. So I'm not surprised. You know, they're not the most exciting testimony. But we're getting through it, and eventually we're going to get more to the heart of it, certainly with Michael Cohen and possibly Stormy Daniels.
And was there anything from McConney's testimony that kind of sealed the fate for the former president?
You know, not at all. I mean, one of the biggest problems the prosecution has is they can't tie Donald Trump personally to this record keeping, and they have to. He has to have an intent to defraud, and either he does it himself, or the record keeping is done at his specific direction, and they can't bring that bridge together. Plus, you know, people don't really talk about it too much, but I find a huge problem with the discrepancy in the amount Cohen was paid versus the amount reimbursed for Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels is reimbursed for $130,000. Cohen was paid $420,000. And if the majority of the payment could be justified as a legal expense, then it's not necessarily false. And I think that's gonna come out more, certainly when Cohen testifies, and depending on who Trump has to kind of explain that relationship. But that's been a little bit overlooked. But no, I think the testimony today, they still have that distance from Trump. And if they can't bridge that, he's going free.
Okay, Tre, thank you very much for your insight, as always.
Thank you so much.